that they touching up on. They still trying to make it seem like it was no kind of biological warfare. It just was just a coincidence that it happened, and it wasn't meant to happen, and all this stupid stuff. Still, man, we know damn well this thing ain't just happened on its own or whatever. It was given a nudge, given a little nudge. So let me go ahead real quick. Professor, you want to say something? But we go ahead and get it in. I see my girl Rerаз up in here as well too. So Dominique, I see you guys. A Boogie, Bovo, what up?
Yeah, these are great topics again tonight, family. So let's go in on it, man. Let's listen to what Newstoter got to say. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is it's up in Jumbotron, right?
Yes, sir. It's up in the jumbotron. It is up in the jumbotron. It might be on the far left or the far right. I can't remember where I put it at, but it's on the far left hand side. It's up in the jumbotron. So definitely, if you guys have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'm sure quite a few of you have. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I see a couple of people over there in YouTube land. So the more y'all pour in, but I'm gonna still give a shout out to whoever's over there. Shout out to you guys as well. The YouTube family is slowly growing as well too. So if anybody that's listening to this broadcast tonight, make sure you go ahead and click the notification, share the broadcast out, like it, comment. Make sure you click that notification as well too, because they ain't lying when they say people don't get notifications, bro, on YouTube. They ain't lying. Like, you don't be getting no notifications. I look at the analytics, and most of the people that watch the videos don't even get a damn notification. So yeah, let me just go ahead and say that real quick. Shout out to my man A Boogie. A Boogie, thank you for your contribution on Cash App as well too. Let me go ahead, y'all. I want to go ahead and get into this thing here, and I definitely want to hear what y'all got to say. People were saying at one time that China owes reparations too for the coronavirus. So easier said than done getting that money up out of China though. But let me go ahead. This article is from Mogadam. It's up in the actual jumbotron as always. It's also in the Peace to You Nightfall as well too over there in YouTube land. Definitely Nightfall. Go ahead and share this thing as well. I know you will, but anyways, got to say that. But yeah, this article is also, the articles tonight are also in the description on YouTube. But declassified report released by U.S. government on COVID origin. FBI concludes it likely came from the Wuhan lab. And I remember when they would start, this thing first popped off, and they kept calling the Wuhan virus. This is racist. It's racist. Don't say it. Don't say it. It's racist. Don't say it's the Wuhan virus. Well, okay. After years of speculation and accusations, a declassified report released by the U.S. government finds that the COVID-19 virus originated from the Wuhan lab in China. The Office of Director of National Intelligence on June 16 released its in-depth report examining potential links between the Wuhan Institute and the origin of the coronavirus pandemic. The report, which runs 10 pages, stated the U.S. intelligence community discovered biosafety concerns present at the Wuhan laboratory and concluded that genetic engineering of the coronavirus is indeed taking place at the Chinese facility where researchers affiliated with the People's Liberation Army also perform work, the New York Times reported. The People's Liberation Army is the principal military force of the People's Republic of China and the armed wing of the Chinese Communist Party. According to the report, some scientists at the Wuhan lab became ill in the fall of 2019 with symptoms consistent with but not diagnostic of the COVID-19. Intelligence agencies do not think the case of the 3 lab workers who became ill in 2019 can help reveal whether the COVID-19 pandemic originated from an accidental lab break, according to the report made public Friday. Yet, according to assessments by both the Department of Energy and the FBI, it is believed that a laboratory leak incident was the most probable cause of the initial human infection of COVID-19. Sure it was. Scientists have suggested that the SARS-CoV-2 is a result of a recombination between 2 different viruses, one close to RATG13 from a bat and the other related to pangolin virus. In other words, 2 existing viruses, and another senior member on the same committee of intelligence told the New York Post most agencies assess that the SARS-CoV-2 was not laboratory adapted. Some are unable to make determination. All IC agencies assess that the SARS-CoV-2 was not developed as a biological weapon, the report read. but the report stressed that almost all IC intelligence community agencies assessed that SARS-CoV-2 was not genetically engineered. The new report was 3 years in the making and is a result of bipartisan law that ordered intelligence agencies to release the classified version of what they know about the COVID, whether COVID might have been created inside the Wuhan Institute and then accidentally escaped from the laboratory, the New York Times reported. Shout out to Brooke. I see you over there also in YouTube land as well too. Brooke said COVID made in China. But yeah, we already knew that. Like, yeah. But you couldn't say it, and you damn sure couldn't say it on YouTube at one time either, unless you was gonna get your channel strike. So yeah, it's not exactly this is not exactly earth-shattering news right here. I think pretty much everybody knew that this exactly came from over there, like I say, but because of the United States and China's business partnership that they got going on, China wouldn't allow the United States really to say much about it. And not only that, but China, most of the countries worldwide, they didn't just put the blame on it. So they pretty much all had them punked for the most part. I want to touch up on this other article too, guys. This is a report also from Mogan, also up in the Jumbotron, also in the description on YouTube. It says, report over 100 U.S. political leaders have ancestors who were slave-making and slave holders. America's slave history is deep-rooted in every fiber of the country's fabric. A new report has unveiled that more than 100 political leaders in the U.S. have ancestors who were slave-making and shareholders, and some of the names might be surprising. In researching the genealogies of America's political elite, Reuters examination found that a fifth of the nation's members of Congress, living presidents, Supreme Court justices, and governors are direct descendants of ancestors who enslaved Black people. At least 100 members of the last sitting Congress are direct descendants of ancestors who owned Black slaves. Among 536 of the last sitting Congress, more than a quarter of the Senate, 28 members can trace their families to at least one slaveholder, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reported. Breaking it down by a political party, at least 8% of Democrats in Congress and 28% of Republicans have slave-making ancestry. Among the politicians, Republican Senator Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Tom Cotton, James Lankford, Democrats Elizabeth Ward, Tammy Duckworth, Maggie Hassan. As far as the Oval Office, President Joe Biden and every living former U.S. president except Donald Trump are direct descendants of slaveholders: Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama. On top of this, in 2022, governors of 11 of the 50 U.S. states were descendants of slaveholders, as were 2 U.S. Supreme Court justices. The congressional slave-holding ancestors were among the richest in America before the Civil War. 3/4 were among the richest 10% in all. Reuters found names of more than 700 people enslaved by ancestors of leaders, Reuters reported. In 2019, Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said that he and Obama have 2 major things in common. They both oppose reparations, and they both are descendants of slaveholders. Once again, I find myself in the same position as President Obama. We both oppose reparations, and we both are descendants of slaveholders, McConnell said recently. He was asked about a report from NBC that his relatives were slaveholders and if he had changed his opinion about reparations, CNN reported. We know Obama didn't really. Now I see Obama, he talks really hard about reparations and stuff now. He talks about all this stuff that he would never mention when he was in the presidency. But McConnell said, I remember when he did say that him and Obama were actual, descendants of slaveholders. And I don't know if I remember sometimes Professor, you remember they were saying that Obama was actually related to the Bushes or something like that. Somehow he was related to some other presidents. I want to say it was the Bush family. I'm not for certain, but
I think that's what I remember hearing too, was he was related or tied into the Bush family some kind of way. Lord help us. But anyway, that might explain why the motherfucker was punking out on what he should have been doing more for Black Americans when he was in office. So, shout down to you, President Obama. You ain't shit. But I'm sorry, but that's how I feel about him. And but yeah, I had heard back here a few years ago that he was related to Bush, and then it was somebody else too, I thought, that was mixed in with that.
That's real talk. I know, and a lot of people say that, and I don't know how true it is, but a lot of people say that a lot of these presidents are actually related and family members and kin to each other and everything else as well too. So, hey, it wouldn't be exactly surprising. Of course, we got a lot of people that also believe that presidents really aren't elected, that they're already picked beforehand or whatever. So that's another story for another time. I said we got Ray up here. Ray, what's going on? And everybody else tonight, y'all make sure y'all go ahead and share the room out as well. To share the room out, we definitely appreciate it. We definitely want to get some of our people opinion on the two topics tonight. We're talking about uh, the report where it says that China was confirmed as the actual place where the COVID started from, in the Wuhan lab. That's why people at one time was calling it the Wuhan virus. And, like I said, they were able to go ahead and get rid of calling it the Wuhan virus because that was considered racist. And we're talking about the politicians in well, every branch, it seems like, Congress, Senate, the presidents, governors, all of them, descending from, pretty much not all of them, but a good amount of them descending from actual slave owners as well too. So we see why so many of them, no matter what side of the aisle they sit on, be a Republican, be a Democrat, and based off of what the actual article said, you had 28%, I believe 28% was actually I'm not 28%, but 28 members of the Senate can trace their families back to slavehold. Okay, they said 8% of Democrats in Congress and 28% of Republicans. Yikes, that's a lot. 28%. But yeah, they can trace it back to the actual slaveholders and their family. Ray, you got it. Go ahead. What's going on tonight?
What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna be real brief. If you want to know who can connect the dots to the Bush family and Obama, the best person that I would ask would be Judge Joe. He actually did the whole breakdown. Obviously, he's a lot more articulate than I am when it comes to this subject. So if you could possibly get him in the room or bring it up next time, he'd be the perfect person to ask to fill in the connection for that. And speaking of politicians, I just wanted to ask if anybody see this whole thing that's going on with Biden in China, because evidently Hunter sent out some type of text message. He was trying to extort money from the Chinese, and Biden knew about it. This is straight up treason, because obviously if Trump or any other politician would have done this would have been headline trending all over Twitter, and it just goes in to show you how much of the social media they control.
Real talk, Ray. And you're right. I believe Judge Joe Brown did break that down real quick. Let me read a couple comments. And Vovo, I got you. Nightfall says proof that politicians aren't elected, they are selected. This is on YouTube. I'm reading Obama and Bush are 10th cousins, confirmed. He also said as well. Brooks said, yep, related to Bush 100%. That Nightfall says that explains why he was so chummy with Bush after the elections. Nate said, Senator Cotton's family were slave owners and a big part of American history. Kendi wrote about that family in his book, Stamped from the Beginning. It was an excellent read as well, too. So, yeah, we got a lot of our people, and even though I'm going to touch up on some of the articles here as well on Twitter, but a lot of our people talking about, I believe it's Cheney and Obama may be related as well, too. So I believe it's Cheney and Obama. But go ahead, Vovo. How you doing tonight? Yeah, you kind of low, but I can hear you. Can you get a little bit louder?
What about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. Oh no, I just wanted to touch on. I heard y'all talk about. I think y'all touched on the Obama thing already. I dropped out for a second, but did y'all know that Obama was supposed to be related to slave owners, like a descendant of slave owners? Did y'all touch on that?
Oh yeah, we touched up on that. We talked about that too.
Oh, okay. Okay, that was all I was wondering. That was it.
Yeah, that was up in the article. Like they say, all of the presidents, with the exception of Trump, and I believe they say Trump, the reason he's not because his family immigrated to the country later on. So that's the only reason that he's actually not actually having any slave ancestors. Shout out to Cognitive as well. Thank you, Cognitive, for your contribution on Cash App. But that's the only reason that his family per se are not actual slaveholders, because they came later on during time. So, what's up, D?
But Fred Trump did have ties to the Klan. That's what's the name, father? That's the Trump father.
Oh yeah, now listen. Now, if they was to come out with who had ties to the Klan or something like that, it'd be a whole lot more of them than even the slave being related to slave owners. If they was actually go in and dig up who actually had ties to the actual clan in this country and politics, when you're talking about whether local, national, state, or whatever, oh, it'd be a complete cesspool. So they definitely ain't trying to touch up on who got some clan family ties as well too. So that's something they don't even want to touch up on right there. So I agree with you. I didn't hear about. I did hear some stuff about his dad. And his dad was a character, and come on, let's be for real. It's not really surprising coming about Trump as well either. But like I say, his redeeming grace was that, hey, his family was not in the country at the time, so that's a big reason why they quote unquote didn't own slaves. And Mitch McConnell made sure he took a nice little jab at Obama, but the jab he took was actually real. He was saying that, hey, and he made sure that he repeated that. He made sure that he said that, like, yeah, I'm in agreement with Obama. I don't believe in reparations either. And just like Obama, I'm also a descendant of an actual slave owner as well, too. So give Mitch McConnell, this is how they play politics right here. He made sure he put Obama on the spot, and Obama ain't changed 1 minute. Obama ain't say, well, Obama, whenever he starts talking about reparations, that joker face get just as what do you call it? Blushing, and what do you call it? His face all pink and red or whatever. So Obama, yeah, he can't flush. That's what it is. Flush. That joker face get as flush as I don't know what. So he definitely tries to sidestep that issue as well too. A Boogie, I see you got your hand up. I'm gonna go ahead and get to you. Shout out to Eric. Eric, thank you for your contribution as well too on Cash App. Let me get to A Boogie, and Ray, I got you too.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, since we can kind of talk about COVID now, yeah, man, like it came out from the beginning that it was coming out of China, and Trump was saying. It seems like all the stuff that Trump was saying was true. That's the ironic thing about everything that's transpired over the last 3 years. But yeah, he was calling it the China virus, and then also it came out that Fauci was connected to the Wuhan lab. Like he contracted a guy out of Ohio, and he's the guy who engineered the COVID virus from some stuff that I was looking at, and then also with the politicians, slavery. Yeah, I was in that space where Judge Joe Brown broke down the Obama connection. It was something about his dad being like a CIA asset or something like that. His mom with some oil. They were tapped in with the oil, so it all makes sense that the Bushes are connected because they tapped in with oil too. So, I mean, all that information comes full circle, and I mean, at this point in my life, all of the things that I've learned over the last 2 years, I'm not really surprised by any of it. Most of the conspiracies, they seem to be somewhat true, at least since around Trump era or whatever. So, yeah, man, all this stuff is not surprising at this point, but I mean, it's still disappointing at the same time. So, yeah, man, that's all I really got on that.
All right, appreciate that, A Boogie. Let me go ahead and get to Ray. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on, everybody? I meant to mention this a little earlier too. I heard someone mention about the KKK. Ties, slave owners, and things like that. It's not just, it goes obviously a lot deeper than just politicians. A lot of people don't know this, but Tucker Carlson, the talking head that got fired, is a slave owner. He actually was a cod shipper, railroad exec, and at one point, Tucker Carlson's grandfather was the mayor of Houston. For my people that live in Texas, there's a town there called Ennis, Texas. It's actually named after him because Tucker Carlson's grandfather was Cornelius Ennis. So Ennis, Texas, is actually named after him. So he ran with the Confederacy and did all types of crazy stuff. It's called a blockade runner. Anyone that wants to look into it, brother Calvin Swan, if any of y'all are following him, he actually made a post about it a couple of years back. You can go through his Twitter feed and you can actually read up on everything I was telling you about.
All right, thanks, Ray. Go ahead and get back to Volvo. Anybody else up in the space tonight? I said we got a bunch of our people up in here as well too. So like I say, for those that missed it, we talking about the confirmation declassified report finally coming out. It came out last week saying that the COVID virus originated from the Wuhan lab, which pretty much everybody knew. And we're talking about the political ties that a lot of the political people in this country have to slavery as well too. So definitely, guys, we want to go ahead and get it. I see Carlos coming up here as well too. So we definitely want to get everybody's perspective on this. As always, feel free to come on up here and talk. So let me go ahead and get the Volvo. Volvo, you got it.
Yeah. I just want to say this. That ain't really shocking to me about the slave owner ties. I mean, if we the descendants of slaves, the descendants of slave owners is still around too. You know what I mean? They ain't went nowhere. They ain't leave after slavery. They still here. You know what I mean? So that's that ain't really that shocking to me. It's just stuff is being revealed now. But I mean, we been knew who these people is. Like this, that ain't really that surprising. Far as the COVID virus, did they say that it was released on purpose, or what are they saying?
Well, they're trying to say that it wasn't used as a biological weapon, anything. That it was pretty much almost like an accident that occurred from what I'm saying. At least that's what they're saying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like if it did come out of a lab, I don't think they spread it out. Did it on purpose. I thought it came from their nasty living condition. That's really what I thought it was. I thought it was the way they over there living. That's where I thought the shit came from. But I mean, either way, I mean, how we gonna make them pay? It ain't nothing that we can do. You know what I'm saying? It was an accident. So you know what I mean. But Trump was big salty about that. Trump was calling that shit out from the beginning because that really hurt Trump's presidency. Trump, if you pay attention, Trump was having a pretty good presidency. The world was calm, as calm as it could be. We weren't talking about no World War III or no crazy shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And then that sprung out of nowhere. That happened in the middle of his campaign. Wow, he's a sitting president. You know what I'm saying? So, and he had the economy jumping. That put all Trump's work to a halt immediately. Big salty about that. You know what I mean? But either way, if it came out the lab on mistake, or if it's their nasty living conditions, they still need to be held accountable. How? I think it's impossible, but it's their fault. All right, brother, I'll land my plane.
Appreciate it, Volvo, and I'm in agreement with you. But how do you make China pay up? That's the thing. How are you gonna make China go ahead and cough up that money? So I'm with you. I know when people were saying that they thought it was a way the bats and everything that they were eating over there. My only thing I was like, look, these people have been eating this stuff for thousands of years, and you didn't have the kind of worldwide pandemic that took place from it. So I didn't buy the whole, this is what they're eating and this is why this happened and all this other kind of stuff like that. I always thought it was something that took place in the lab myself personally. I never thought when people said, well, that wet markets, I'm like, yo, they had these wet markets for thousands of years. Like, don't forget, China is like the longest running a nation in the world or whatever. So yeah, I just didn't buy that whole thing about, whoa, that they didn't. The same thing they used to say back in the day with AIDS and stuff like that, talk about, well, it originated over there in Africa because the people they were eating monkeys and they ate the wrong monkey and end up getting it. Then they took the lie from the monkey thing that they was having sex with monkeys and all this other kind of crap. And just instead of saying that, hey man, let's be honest. We saw documentaries and stuff saying that there was people going over there injecting these people with certain vaccines and stuff from taking it from these green monkeys that they told the scientists not to use, and people end up getting the damn virus that end up producing AIDS and stuff. And they was over there vaccinating people by force over there in those nations over there. So let's just cut the crap. When they start talking about all this dumb shit here and people been eating things for a certain way in this, I'm like, listen, those people over there in Asia and China know exactly what to eat and what not to eat. You know how they know what to eat and what not to eat? Because over the course of time, things killed them. So they learned that, hey, I better not eat this herb, or I better not eat this plant, or I better not eat this type of meat, because if I eat it, it's going to kill me. Well, the same with those people over there in Africa as well, too. So that was just, they had a documentary that they had at one time that was called How the West, and they had this Nobel Prize award winning scientist that was a lot of people blame for the actual spread of AIDS over there and stuff like that. Because he was responsible for helping with the polio virus and stuff, the polio combating against that. And this person, had the big head, and they suggested this. They had this damn documentary PBS show that was called How the West Gave Africa AIDS. Well, after playing that a little bit, that documentary like magically disappeared. They made sure they got that documentary off of TV. So, yeah, I question this whole thing about eating the animals and this is what happened and this and that. And I know people start putting religion. Yo, you can't eat this because you're gonna die. And hey, like I said, they've been eating it for damn thousands of years. Let me go ahead and get the professor. Professor, you got it.
Yeah, so good to see everybody up in the space tonight. Peace, power, and reparations to everybody. Great topics here. So let me say this. I want to start this off about the whole situation with China and the coronavirus, the Wuhan. And I have to just start it off this way when it comes to that whole situation, right? In honor of Trump. We're going to be Kung Flu fighting. You just know it's all sighting. That's what he was telling. Hey, remember, that's what he was telling people. It was the Kung Flu. That's what it's all about. And so, look, everybody, we know that this thing was started from them. I think it was China, the United States, the government, and other governments all involved in spreading this shit and trying to get rid of the populations, okay? I think everybody knew that. And Trump, he called it out ahead of time. That's why he called it the Kung Flu. See, that's what it came from. Kung Flu fighting. That's right. And so, with that being said, are we really surprised by this report? I think they're not saying anything new in this report at all. I think this is something that we all knew ahead of time. Regarding the whole thing with the slavery with the politicians, I don't think we can be surprised by this. I'm pretty sure it's a good many of these politicians that are up there serving right now that have ancestors that own slaves. And I'm pretty sure there are some that are trying to hide it. See, that's the other thing I want y'all to be aware of is that they trying to hide a lot of this. A lot of these white people do not want us to find out what they have in their family background. From my understanding, and this is, of course, is a celebrity or actor by the name of Ben Affleck. I don't know if y'all ever heard the report that came out about his family supposedly owning slaves. He's been trying to hide that. See, he don't want people to know that his family was involved in that. And so you will hear more details to come out, I'm pretty sure, sometime in the near future, of white people that's trying to find some kind of way to hide the fact that their families own slaves. What's the number one thing they always say to us? My family never owned slaves. Don't they all say that shit? They all say this shit. My family don't own slaves. I mean, I get tired of hearing this shit. You all say this. All of you say this shit. My family has never owned slaves. My family was not over here during the slavery time. Slavery. You hear all the different excuses. This is what white supremacy is, coming up with excuses after excuses on why Black Americans should not get reparations. And this is what you're going to continue to hear. My family didn't own any slaves, so why should I have to pay you guys? And you guys are not slaves. You're not in slavery now. So why you think you should get a handout? See, don't you hear that all the time? Isn't that what we hear? If you go into some of these spaces, these white supremacy spaces, you will hear some of the very talking points that I'm putting out here right now. Okay? So, let's be honest. majority of white people in the South, their families owned slaves. Okay, I believe the number was like 60 to 65%. That's a great population of people that own slaves. Okay, and even if they didn't own slaves, they some kind of way participated in it. They didn't try to stop it. They was overseers. They were beating the hell out of our asses or whatever, beating the hell out of our ancestors. So I don't want to keep hearing these folks making excuses, because what I tell them is, okay, well, your family owned slave, but I bet you your family benefited from it and they were not trying to stop it. So there you go. I'm going to land right there. Family. Come fighting.
All right.
This is so exciting.
All right, Professor. Let me go ahead and get to Carlos. Carlos, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's going on, family? I just wanted to touch on something real quick.
Carlos, you kind of low. Can you turn up a little? Is it possible to get up a little bit louder?
Is this better?
That's a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm having a little connection issue, but let me just say this real quick, if you can hear me. I heard somebody earlier touch on Fauci. Fauci was a major player in this whole COVID situation. His daughter, people don't realize that before Elon bought Twitter, his daughter was one of the people who decided whose account got taken down. And also, Fauci's wife was head of the WHO, who determined the measures that we would take from during COVID, the lockdowns and everything like that. So this was all one big grift, and just follow the money and you'll find out who exactly was behind all this. Along with Kill Bill, we know who he is. All of them were in cahoots to launch this virus. And also, I posted in the comment section about the 12-year-old girl who discovered that all the presidents are related except for one, and it ain't Obama. Now,
All right. Thank you, Carlos. For anybody I know, because sometimes it's just some of us having some connection issues. But if possible, if you guys have your headset on, your Bluetooth, try to go ahead and take that off and try to turn the volume up as loud as possible. I can hear you, but some of our people on YouTube, they're having a hard time hearing the speaker. So if you can, go ahead and try to get your volume up to as loud as you can possibly get it, guys. But once again, thank you, Carlos. Let me go to Nathan. Nathan, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me here. Shout out to everybody that's on here. Is my mic all right?
Yeah, I can hear you, but if you get a little bit louder, it'd be better, but I can hear you.
All right, is this better for you?
That's fine.
All right, cool. So I'm just going to take it from the top with the COVID in China. That's a no-brainer. Like that wasn't surprising when they said COVID was in China maybe 6 months, 7 months before it hit the States. I knew it was coming. And at the time I was renting a place that was like a community place, and the people were going over lease terms with me, and I was like, so what are we going to do when COVID comes? And they giggled. They were like, oh, that's in China. I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, well, let me know what's going to happen with it, because it's coming. And when it started, they called me because I moved out of that space. They were like, how did you know? It's like, well, nothing falls that far from the tree. As far as politicians and slavery, this is not new news. And I'm gonna link this sort of to reparations. So reparations talks are going on. I don't know if this country is ever going to make good on that. But if you want, I always tell people this. I've been saying it for maybe like a decade. If you wanted to get gangster and actually like hold people accountable for the reparations, you can go to your whatever state or city your family's from. You can go to that historical society and find the papers from the insurance companies that were dealing in slavery at that time, and you can find out exactly who were specifically, making these transactions. Like, it's open book history. There's a sister, I think she's down in the South, somewhere in Louisiana, or maybe the Antebellum South. And she does this research and finds people's family from those same records. So the records are there. I'm a foundational Black person, Black American, and so when people talk about they should give us reparations, they should, like, if we wanted to get gangster about it, it's ways to find those records and, you know, and do them like they did in Tulsa. We're at a different place with these reparations talks. Um, but yeah, that's all I got to offer today. I hope y'all have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get back to Ray. Ray, then we're gonna get to you as well, Brooke, and anybody else that wants to speak tonight. Make sure you guys come on up here and request the microphone as well too. Ray, go ahead. You got it.
I was just gonna say really quick, if those of you haven't heard it, actually found the Titan at submersible submarine. They found it is actually in Canada for whatever reason. Notice off top, I wanted to say that because that's breaking news. Secondly, about COVID, what was Trump to do? Like, if you're really him, what would you do? Because if you close off the borders, you're gonna have people screaming, "Oh my God, you can't do that! COVID's happening. People need to come in and get medical treatment." Blah blah blah. But then on the flip side, if you just leave the borders wide open, people are going to have a problem with that. And again, that happened right around the time Trump was actually building up a lot of steam, and that, when COVID happened, obviously he didn't get the presidency again. So, maybe it's just me, but that timing is just too quick. Now laying there.
All right, appreciate that, Ray. Let me read a comment real quick off of YouTube from Nightfall, and he was talking about when we were talking about the actual politician with slavery ties, and this is his comment. So this is Nightfall's comment, not Newstoter, but Nightfall. He says it might also explain nigga Jim Clyburn's reluctance to do anything for Black folks. Didn't he admit his wife is half white? I don't know. I don't know if his wife is half white. Night. I'm not sure. But I did find the actual comment to be kind of funny, so I wanted to go ahead and read that. See, I got my girl Brooke up here, Brooke, and then we got my girl Wilson up here as well too. So we got some of the ladies coming up in here as well, which is always a good thing. Brooke has decided to leave YouTube temporarily and come over here and hang out with us as she does periodically. So Brooke, what's going on?
Hi. Thank you for the introduction.
What's up, Brooke?
Hey, y'all. Hey, family and everybody. Newstoter, thank you for having me. I'm so glad that you're talking about this subject about the politicians and the slave owners. And just like the Wuhan, excuse me, not the Wuhan, but just like the COVID, well, duh. Of course, they're all descendants of slave owners. That's how they have money. And so that's irrevocable proof that had we been able to keep going from the point of slavery, even if we never got the reparations for slavery, if they just hadn't have fucked us over, through the Reconstruction, through the Freedmen's Bank, through the, past Tulsa, blase, blase, blase. If they just had left us alone, we would have more than what we have now. But their hatred and their jealousy keeps them cheating in life. Basically, they're cheaters and liars. So the people who are descendants of the slave owners, they're cheaters and liars. So of course it makes sense that they would go into politics, right? And be doing well and be messing up the country and be letting in illegal immigrants and doing everything in their possible and in their everything they can to destroy us and destroy the Black American family. I want to also touch base. I also want to mention about there's a guy in Texas today who a bunch of guys in Texas legislator got together and created some sort of an anti-reparations bailout bill. I don't know if anybody saw that.
I didn't see that,
And
Brooke.
oh, you didn't see that? I'll
No,
see if I can find.
yeah, I missed that one.
Okay, so basically, it's he wrote a bill that blocks any states from going into negative trying to pay reparations for slavery. So when you think about how the state of California had a huge surplus when Trump was in office, but now the state has a huge deficit. So they don't want the California to be going to the feds to bail them out to having to pay reparations to slavery. So any municipal or state or city or county or anybody really, if they decide to pay for reparations for slavery, they cannot ask the federal government to bail them out to repay them. Which it sounds shocking and it sounds bad on the surface, but it also it does thwart or eliminate the plans of what Narcan and Cobra had planned to do. So again, the white man thinks that they're fucking us over and inadvertently does something that actually helps us. And that's why they suck and they're all going to hell. And, you know, I was really glad that Reuters had went ahead and published this list about the slave owners. So again, it's irrevocable proof, and we can take that to the international crimes court. And I think this time we really need to file charges against the UN. Because the UN, every country that's involved in the UN, they're the motherfuckers that are sending their people over here to feed off of our pain and suffering. So everybody who's in the UN that thinks that they're, even though there's 2 billion people in India and 2 billion people in China, those mofos think that they are somehow underrepresented. If the world's population is 8 billion people, you're 50% of the world population. You're not a minority. And so that's pretty much all I have to say about my plane. Thank you.
No problem, Brooke. Damn, it's 2 billion people in India. I knew it was over 1 billion. Is that me? I know it's the second largest now, but damn, it's 2 billion? Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow. They having a lot of churn over there for real. Right.
They sure do. And that's why they love to leave it. I'm just like, well, keep the nickel between your legs and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. All those things that they keep telling us.
Damn much still this hell over there. Yes.
All right, Brooke. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Welsing. Welsing, how you doing tonight?
Hi, how's everybody?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Good. What's up, sir? I couldn't hear you.
I'm saying, what's up?
Hi, nothing much. I'm here twisting my hair and listening to everybody. A couple of thoughts. I dare say, excuse me, that COVID was here about Q3, Q4 of 2018. And I say that because of a personal experience that I had with one of my best friends, who happens to be a male. And he has since retired, but he used to work at FedEx. He worked at FedEx for 33 years, up until about a couple of months ago. His job, he drove an 18-wheeler, and his job was specifically driving for high, like organs, like if organs came off a plane that was serious stuff, you know what I mean? It wasn't like packages. It was like he was specialized, and he was assigned specific airlines here in Los Angeles. They were Korea Air, China Air, one from Taiwan. He had a lot of the Asian airlines. Having said that, and he's 6'4", and from healthy as a horse. Having said that, his sister called me and said to me that her husband was out of town, and she says, Braylon, his name is Braylon. Braylon is at my place. He's very sick. And she says he's dead weight. And she says, I want to ask you a favor. She says, because I know you lift a lot of weight. She goes, I need you to help me. If you can, come over here, because I'm going to try to see if I can get him in the car to get an emergency. And I thought that was really weird, because I have never known him to be sick. But I went over there, and she says, she wanted some medicine that I had stopped buying up at the pharmacy. Anyway, when I went to her place and I saw him laying in the bed, he couldn't even lift his body out of the bed. And he was kind of incoherent. And I said, do you want to go to emergency now? We're going to try to get you inside the car. And he said, look, he said to me and his sister, he goes, I will certainly go tomorrow. I'm going to go to my doctor. I want to go to my doctor first. I said, okay. So he got one of his buddies, who's a big guy like him, to take him to his doctor. I got a call from his sister saying that he went to his doctor, took one look at him, and called up a colleague in an emergency at St. Joseph's in Torrance, California, and got him in. And it was a tricky time because his sister and husband was leaving to go on an anniversary cruise. And so she asked me to be the interim and watch him while they were gone. She didn't want to leave, and I said, go ahead. I said, I will watch him. We were just thinking he had a bad flu. Anyway, it was worse than that. They were gone, and it was worse than that. They said he had double pneumonia and the flu. And the doctor told me that had he not come to the hospital within 2 days, he would have died. And I thought that was kind of, shocking. And they ran all kind of tests to see if he had AIDS or anything like that. Nothing. Clean. Nothing. And then I would go over there around 4 o'clock in the morning to be with him. And so, because I knew shift changes and I wanted to get data and everything about his stats during the night, so I can relay it, have it on record, and relay it to the transitioning team. And that one morning I came in there, I saw on the outside it said the room was quarantined. So basically, if I walked in there, I was stuck. And this is my friend, and I went in there, and he was out like. This man, I was up watching him because he couldn't breathe properly. And I'm like, what kind of flu is this? This is January of 2019, okay? He was in the hospital January, February, and he came out, and it was due to the fact that he was strong, a person. Fast forward, at the end of 2019, and then we got into 2020. Around March of 2020, when this shit really hit Los Angeles, he called me one day. He goes, you know what? I think I had COVID. I said, you know what? I think you did, brother. I really do. I think you did. You had COVID. Now, people who know me personally, I'm OCD clean. And when I was in that room with him and I was stuck there, I drove him crazy because anytime he spit up, you see all this phlegm coming out of his chest. It was incredible. I had my stuff. I was cleaning it and everything. And even the nurses said to me, people are talking about you because they ain't never seen the room clean, even with their hazmat people. You surpassed the hazmat people. And they thought that I was married to him. I said, no, I'm just a very good friend. Anyway, you're one of the best friends you could ever have. A lot of that was because I knew that if he caught sepsis, he would have been dead. So I really do think that COVID was here. And if you think about it, right, a lot of Asians travel during the holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas. They go on this, some of them are Christian, they go on this Christian tour. So they leave Asia, they leave China, Taiwan, Korea, they leave Singapore, they leave these places, and they usually start in Italy, where there is the Vatican, and they can do all that stuff, And then, like through Thanksgiving, they're going to different parts of Europe, and then what they do is travel to New York for Christmas. Okay, the Rockefeller Center, blah, blah, blah. And then what they'll do is they'll either go to Las Vegas or they'll go to LA and San Francisco because they do a tour of like Chinatown and everything like that. It makes sense because Italy was hit so hard. One of my friends that I grew up with was Italian. She lives there, and she and I were on WhatsApp, and it was profound, as we all know what happened in Italy. And then it hit New York. really in the United States, it hit New York like a tsunami, and then LA and everything like that, and everybody in between. I do believe this thing was around. I believe that China kept this secret because they were trying to contain it, but because it was airborne and because, America has grown China and India's middle class, so they travel. So you have that too. So they're traveling and they could not contain this. And if you guys remember, there was a story about a doctor, a young doctor in China, in Wuhan, that tried to reach out to the World Health Organization without the permission of the government of China, and he was dying of COVID. He was trying to tell them that this is a pandemic of insurmountable size that is going to reach the entire globe, and they contained it. And what's interesting is that the head of the World Health Organization is an Ethiopian man. I understood and I was reading that when he was vying for that job, there were people that were vying for that job. China was vying hard for this man. They wanted this man as the head of the World Health Organization. America did not. They wanted to get a European or an American person to head that World Health Organization. Do you remember when Trump came in and when all that shit hit the fan with COVID? If you guys remember, he did not want to. Apparently, America gives the most money to the World Health Organization to sustain them. Trump did not want to give it to them because of this man. And they felt that between this man and the government of China, they tried to contain it in 2018. And I believe that. I believe it. I believe it. I don't trust China. Now, I traveled in China back in the late, I think, 1999, in the early 2000s. I was between Taiwan, Seoul, and Shenzhen, China for work, all doing SARS. Okay, so I knew that I was already there, and the chances of me being exposed to it, I was already there. And my company in LA was like, look, if you are diagnosed with SARS, then let us know. It was the whole thing with the embassy and all this other stuff. So I was always on cue about that. But they were more, at that time, I was always x-raying, and I was always taking these temperatures and stuff like that. They were very diligent, especially in Taiwan. But in Shenzhen, it was a little different, and I didn't feel like I was getting the right type of care, but because I think they were just too many people. But at the end of the day, I trust that country. You think that they tried to contain it, and I think it was a collaboration between World Health Organization. Why? I believe that Trump knew that shit and did not want to give them the money, and he didn't. Okay, because of that, I do believe that Fauci was involved in this in some way, shape, or form. I can't put my finger on it, and I do believe that there is another thing coming. I think that China, this was a litmus test for America to see where the holes were in our country, because the next shit that comes out of that country is going to be a motherfucker. And I know we can't curse it, but I believe it. And the things that we do, and we realize how weak we were as a global superpower, that we don't even manufacture our own PPEs. We don't even manufacture our vitamins. We don't manufacture shit. Everything we are at the holding of China. And that is wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. I don't trust it. I don't trust them. And my friend, hands down, he had COVID, and they didn't even know what it was. They were diagnosing it. And guys, if you remember, there was one point in the wintertime where everybody was getting this flu that they couldn't shake. There's a lot of people that had COVID and didn't know they had COVID. Okay? So at the end of the day, I think that this was the World Health Organization needs to be held accountable. I think Fauci needs to be held accountable. I think China, that government, needs to be held accountable, that they could have warned the country and the world that something's going down the pipeline, and they did not until it was too late and they could not contain it anymore. And then slavery politicians, look, I don't know why this is a shock. It's just that it's out. It's not a shock. And that it's good for us to know. And that's it. I was going to say something else. India. India there's 2 billion people. 2 billion people, and they have their problems. I was going to say, traveling through China, okay, a lot of there are wet markets there, and they eat all kind of ungodly things. And the thing is that, you know, they're so used to people dying, like in India and Africa. You know, between Africa and China, we have some of the most profound viruses and pandemics, you know what I mean, in the world. And a lot of this is because of the lack of medical supplies. A lot of that is, and so again with Fauci and Bill Gates is another one. You know, all this distributing vaccines and stuff. He's very much into this too. Him and Soros and Fauci. I don't trust them. I don't trust these people. I think that they are, you know, playing with our lives. I think this is a lot of it had to do with, you know, population control, and this is not the last of it. So I land with that. And I thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Wilson. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Up in the Jumbotron, we have the Newstoter YouTube channel up there. It's on the left-hand side, the second on the left-hand side. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, for those that can support us, $sign Newstoter, Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. That's $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. For those on YouTube, we have those links up in the description as well as the Cash App. Also, like I said the other day, we also now have the actual subscription here on Twitter. So if you guys want to support Newstoter for $3 a month, you can go ahead and join our subscription membership. To support is $3 a month. So you just go to the profile page and subscribe that way. That's $3 a month. Once again, for any of those people, anybody in the space that wants to go ahead and become a monthly subscriber member of Newstoter, you can support us with just $3 a month. Once again, just $3 a month. Let me go ahead and get to Trouble. DJ, I see you got your hand up as well, too. So, Trouble, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter, what's good, Black family?
What's up?
Not a whole lot, so I'm going to try to be brief. Y'all know I always say it. I don't trust these crackers as far as I can throw them, and I don't trust nothing that they say. So as far as this virus in Wuhan is concerned, an article I read that came out yesterday in Yahoo said that it wasn't, that they declassified the information and came to the conclusion that it wasn't something that came out of the lab in Wuhan. So my thing is, which one is true? Is it the report that they sent out a week ago saying that it was, or is it the report that came out yesterday that said it wasn't? So in my mind, because it seems like for the longest period of time, they've been kicking the bucket around back and forth. Well, the United States did it. Oh, well, this person did it. Oh, well, the people in China did it. Both you motherfuckers had a hand in it. I'm sorry, Tony. Both of them had a hand in it. I mean, who's to say that the United States, because everyone is so quick to want to rush to create these bioweapons that could X the other one out, who's to say that the United States didn't help create something in some lab to try to send somebody over to China, and then China gets this disease and infection over there. Now they have to contain it, but then China gets it and contains it. They don't know where the hell it came from, so they're trying to figure it out, and then their containment gets out of hand, and now it looks like it came from there when really the United States sent somebody over there with the shit. So to me, everybody who keep kicking the bucket around to the next man, all of y'all have had a hand in it, because each of these superpowers want to be a superpower so bad, you're willing to create these things inside of your labs that could get out of your lab, you know, and harm the whole world. Because maybe you was thinking it was just going to affect this one region of people, but it ended up affecting the whole world. So I don't believe nothing that they say. Last week you said it was, this week you're saying it wasn't. And so that's just my thought, my theory. My theory is both of them had a hand in it some way, somehow. because like you stated earlier, when they were saying, trying to make it seem like it was the bats that they see, that people have been eating bats and roaches and everything else you ain't supposed to be eating for forever and a day. They've been eating it for centuries. They know which bat got a bug up its ass and they not supposed to eat. So, why now did you eat a tainted bat? So everybody lying. And that's now I'm just gonna keep it right to everybody lying. As far as these politicians having slavery ties in their family, anytime they give us numbers, y'all know I'm contrarian. The numbers is higher than what they say it is. You say 8%, I'ma add another 20 or 30 on to it. You say it's 28%, I'ma add another 20 or 30 on to it. And if the numbers are what they are, which they're probably not, the only reason why would be because we have a lot of foreign people who are our politicians. We don't know where everyone originally came from. So if they started doing a genealogy or if they started to tell the truth, well, you've got a lot of, what y'all call tethers up in the cut. You came, your great grandfather came from Germany, your grandmama, your great granddaddy came from, East Europe, somewhere. So a lot of you all are not necessarily Americans or haven't been here. Your lineage doesn't tie to this land for that long. So that's the only reason why you get to escape those numbers when it comes to slavery, but it's still not like you get to benefit from the system of slavery. Just like when Donald Trump was mentioned, and he was like, folks was like, well, we came from Germany, so, that's why he didn't have any slave owners and his family. Okay, well, he was Klanning. Your dad and them was Klanning, so you still was doing some stuff. You was Jim Crow. You was Jim Crowing real good. And that's why you wanted to make America great again, because that was the time frame that your family actually got to miss Negroes having to bow down to you and do all of the things that they had to do back in slavery days. So you would love to experience what your family didn't get to experience by making America that great again. So I don't give Trump any high fives, any pats on the butts, or any kudos for anything. Trump didn't wake anything up. Trump is out for himself. He was getting that Wuhan money too. It made him, his base boosted him up a little bit. So I don't know. It just, everything to me just really just is starting to feel like a bizarro world, and nobody is telling the truth and everybody lying. And I'm just landing on that because I can't believe nothing that these people say, because they never tell the full truth. They never tell a little piece of the truth. Anytime they tell us something, it always ends up being the opposite.
All right, Trouble. Appreciate you coming through tonight. Definitely can't say I disagree with a whole lot what you said as well too. So I wouldn't put it past the United States and some of these other major nations as well to have been involved with some of this stuff that was going on, like Professor said as well, to population control and who knows what. So, and especially when you talk about China and the actual how overpopulated they were. When you remember when the COVID first broke, it was just tearing apart these retirement homes. Like the retirement homes, it was over there like Italy and all these other places. Like when it first came out, a lot of black people actually thought that they were actually immune to the COVID. We were the ones that was getting the least amount. So a lot of black people actually thought, hey, we may be pretty safe from this thing right here. Next thing you know, in a matter of months, we went from getting it the least amount to supposedly getting it the most. So it was one of those things that just flip flop overnight. Like I said, it devastated Italy. It was devastating. It was devastating in Europe and so many different places over there. Africa wasn't getting it a whole lot, if all. We weren't getting it over here a whole lot in America, and then it just kind of everything just spiraled. It just turned like that. So yes, Trouble. Shout out to you and Fauci. I know we was mentioning Fauci earlier. Where is Fauci? I don't even know where Fauci's at, man. DJ, go ahead. You got it.
My bad. I can't even talk. I'm going in on some pop-offs right now, but what's good?
Oh, yeah, you.
The country in China, yo, there you go.
You had your head up, so I thought I thought you was ready to. That's why I saw you with your head up for a minute. I said, well, let me go ahead and get the DJ. But yeah, man, Fauci.
Oh yeah, I did want to say this. I'm not sure if y'all follow that God Suttonly account. They said Madonna was rushed to the hospital less than 4 hours ago.
Yeah, she was in and she was in ICU with some kind of bacterial issue or something like that. So what I saw it on the actual CBS Evening News and stuff earlier that, and I saw it was trending on Twitter as well too. But yeah, I believe they rushed her to the hospital, some kind of bacterial issue that she was having as well. So not a huge Madonna fan, but hopefully Madonna's okay. Yeah, I don't want to see anything happen to Madonna. Madonna, had some songs, had some major songs. Now I ain't gonna take nothing away from Madonna. She's a star. I mean, she's nasty as all get up, but she's a star.
Hey, that's life of a material girl. Life of a material girl.
Yeah. But yeah, man, getting back to Fauci, like where is, because Fauci, like I remember Fauci was talking about, he was getting at one time, like Fauci was being built up as this star and this and that or whatever. And I know Dominique was saying something that had Fauci was involved also back in the day with the AIDS and everything else situation that was going on as well too. But Fauci was built up as this megastar, and then man, it was like he was, when you talk about polarizing, either people love Fauci or they hated him. Like it was like no middle ground. Like there were people that really wanted to get a hold of Fauci, man. So I don't know what.
Fauci is getting ready to start teaching over at the Georgetown University in Washington next month. So he done went from the limelight to sitting in the background teaching the children and whatnot. But remember, Fauci was pretty popular in Donald Trump's eyes until he started gaining so much popularity. And I think with Trump, it was too much competition for him, and that's why he started having issues with Fauci more than anything. That's just me. Because Donald Trump loved his ego to be stroked, and he loved to be seen as the man, on top. And Fauci was getting all kind of, everybody was calling Fauci's name. He was real loved. And next thing you know, Donald Trump was throwing the thumbs down, and then all of a sudden everybody hates Fauci. And so everything is easy to be blamed on Fauci, but all of them demons had a hand in it.
Oh yeah, like I say, Fauci, man. Like at one moment, Fauci was the man, and the next thing, you started the conservative side really started ripping him to shreds and stuff. I don't know what it was, but it was a flip flop with Fauci or whatever. So a lot of people think that Fauci was a paid operative. A lot of people think that he was, speaking truth. So I guess he was just one of those figures that a lot of people had. Either they loved him or they hated him. It didn't seem like it was much of a middle ground with Dr. Fauci. Wilson, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I thought Trump didn't even like Fauci to begin with, because Trump was the one man. You got to remember, Trouble. Trump was the main COVID denier. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't know what the hell was going on and shit, because Trump said that shit 1,000 times. I don't understand this shit. You asking me to shut down the country. You know what that's gonna do? Go ahead, though.
Hey, a quick comment. I see Rella said Fauci should be in jail. So go ahead, Wilson. You got it.
Twin, how you doing?
Hey, Twin, how you doing? I do believe that he should be brought up on charges. Because his problem with Trump was that Trump was saying that this was coming from Wuhan. He didn't want that out there as a narrative. But look, it's the truth. I was going to say that, remember when at one point between March and like June or July of 2020, he was pushing this sister who was his colleague in the lab, as she was a black woman who they were using as a performance monkey to determine, to sway black people to get the vaccine. And because there was at one point where the whole narrative was, black people don't want to take the vaccine, as if to suggest that if black people don't take the vaccine, they're spreading the COVID virus. And they didn't understand that this is a historical trauma. The black people do not trust the medical industry. It's a medical apartheid, historical fact. And so her name was, I forgot her name. She was like a African sister, not a biology sister. I forgot her name. But her name was Kizzy. They called her Dr. Kizzy. And
yeah, I remember Kizzy. Yeah.
And at one point, her face was all over the place until somebody did some sleuthing and found an old Twitter handle that she had supposedly buried, okay, or stopped, and she was one of them Africans that don't like black men, and she loved white men, and the shit that she was saying in that Twitter Spaces was, I mean, it was something else. This old bed wench heifer talking all kinds of greasy shit about black people and black men. Overnight, she disappeared. She disappeared because it's like, really, you're gonna have black people trust that? You must be out of your goddamn mind. That's right. That's what happened. I just want to ask if you remember that one. Her name was Dr. Kizzy.
I remember Dr. Kizzy. Did she have something to do with the vaccine? They were trying to say she came up with one of the vaccines or something like that.
She was a part of the whole vaccine, the creation of the vaccine with Fauci. I don't believe that shit. I think she was a performance monkey for those white folks to get black people on board about getting the damn vaccine. That shit did not work because, like I said, when they found this old Twitter handle, I think she went to University of North Carolina somewhere, and they exposed her ass. She was gone literally overnight. You didn't see her. Notice you didn't see her. After a while, she was quiet, gone. That was why. Like, really, you're gonna get somebody to be the face for black people to trust, but that she don't like black people? I got your goddamn mind.
Yeah, because I remember when they kept trying to say, you know, at the time, like you say, Wilson, it was so many black people that was hesitant of getting that vaccine, and then they kept saying, well, you know, Dr. Kizzy is the one that actually came up. She was the one that actually came. Yeah, so I remember that.
That was a finesse, and then I don't know, kudos to whoever, and then Tyreek released it. I remember because I had my mother looking. I was in New Jersey. Tyreek released it all, like she had it all from top to bottom. Years of her egregious shit that she would say, and about her white man and all this bullshit. So, you know, she's from Africa somewhere. She's an African derivative of something. And so, yeah, she just disappeared overnight. So I just wanted to read that because, you know, she was one of the players, and she was one of Fauci's performance monkeys. So I just wanted to let you know.
I think she was Jamaican, though. Wasn't she Jamaican?
She was not. She was African.
Okay.
No, she wasn't. She was African. She was African because her name, Maya, whatever, Kizzy, is an African. She's from Africa somewhere.
But not only that, but hold on, not only that, Wilson. I also, because I saw a video where you had Fauci and you had at the time, I think what's the mayor of DC? Is it Lady Muriel Browser?
Yeah, Muriel, somebody
else. They were going door to door trying to get black people in the neighborhoods and stuff. They're trying to go door to door to get people to get vaccinated. I remember seeing something like that. Yeah.
Y'all don't forget that Kizzy came out and said that she didn't even take the vaccine.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Wow, she didn't. Oh, so she didn't take the own vaccine that she supposedly came up with.
Yeah, because I posted about it at the time because I was asking her on her page, and she responded back to somebody, and then she finally said no, she hadn't taken the vaccine. So my thing was, how is it that you're trying to tell everybody else to take the vaccine that you created, that you claim you created, supposedly, but you haven't taken the vaccine yourself? And so I think she was trying to lie-splain that she didn't want to jump. Basically, she didn't want to jump in line. You know, just full of shit. Basically. Mm-hmm. She didn't do a damn thing. She was just a Negro with a black face up in there, and she loved white people, obviously, from their old Twitter, and she's their performance monkey. You know, you have a lot of these sisters from Africa that are nothing but a bunch of, like Tariq would say, nothing but a bunch of goddamn bed wenches. And they are just white. They just love white. You know what I mean? Because, you know, white folks flew the planes and dropped them boxes in their damn tribe with clothes and needles and sneakers and pencils. And so, you know, they are like white people are their gods. So
that's what was going on. But yeah, she was the darling of CNN for months, and then all of a sudden she disappeared. And thanks to Tyreek, because he let us all know too.
All right, thank you, Wilson. Let me go ahead and get to and like I said, I remember Fauci and Bowser walking together, going to the neighborhoods and stuff. But let me go ahead and get to Volvo. Volvo, go ahead and unmute your mic. Hey, you there, Volvo?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop down and do it. I just want to say, as far as the COVID thing, man, I feel as though that America did a great job handling the COVID situation. That was something that we had never seen before. The world ain't never seen that before, and I feel as though that they did their best under the circumstance. As far as Fauci, I hope we never see Fauci again. Fauci don't need to be doing no more interviews or none of that. Fauci is an infectious disease doctor. So if we don't see Fauci, that means it ain't no more crazy infectious diseases. I feel as though that he got a bad, what I want to say, he got a bad break. He didn't seem like a bad dude to me. I don't see anything malicious he did or anything like that. I think he's not even the type of guy that's even in the spotlight. He's not a spotlight type guy. He's not like an attention seeker, or he's not trying to do. He looks like the type of guy that's really into his work and take his career serious. I heard somebody say that he's teaching now. He's the perfect guy to be a teacher. If you was going to college to study infectious disease, that'd be the type of guy you would want to. It'll be your instructor. He's the type of guy that writes the textbook on that type of shit. You know what I mean? So I just want to say that I appreciate you letting me speak, bro.
Hey, Volvo, gotta give you some pushback before you drop down. Look up Judy Minkovich. Judy Minkovich. She's an infectious disease expert too that worked with Fauci, and she said he a POS. Judy Minkovich. There you go.
I'll look it up though, brother. But I mean, this might be somebody that's disgruntled.
I mean, after everything, not to say after the dust was settled, I ain't gonna say that, but as far as what we looking at now, post-COVID era, she was right. Fauci a snake, yo. Arrest that nigga, Trump. You know what I'm saying? Trump didn't want that nigga. You know what I mean? Keep it real. You know what I mean?
What did he do exactly? I ain't really too much up on that.
Fauci been working with Wuhan for over 30, 40 years, yo. You know what I'm saying? That's
a good thing, bro. That's
not when they playing around with nature.
And he supposed to work with other labs and share information.
That's okay. Okay. So with that being said, when the COVID broke out, why didn't China allow all the world scientists that asked for specific information or asked to go into the lab? And this is scientists from all over the world, wherever you could be at. You understand? That's the scientists. They asked for permission to go into Wuhan from their government and the Chinese government. China said no, still saying no to this day. So
and notice this. That's a bad thing. They not working with other people. So I can't be mad at Fauci for working with other people and sharing their information if we can agree that China doing a bad thing by not sharing the information.
All right. Let me go ahead and get to Brother Moku. Brother Moku, how you doing tonight? What's going on, man?
Hey, man. How y'all doing? Everybody up in the space. Everybody.
What's up?
Can you hear me? I'm on the road.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I promise y'all, when I get off this road, and the space will probably be over by then, but I'm going to post on my page. I can't remember the book right offhand, but DJ is right. Fauci has not just been working on this Wuhan or COVID, but COVID, the actual virus has been out since the 60s, 70s. You might have heard the swine flu. It was other diseases like the what was it? The smallpox. Before that, all of these are COVID diseases. But aside from that, Fauci, the thing that's faulty with Fauci is when the AIDS epidemic happened, Fauci was putting out false medications. He was putting out medications for AIDS before AIDS was an actual disease. Now, this is back in the 70s, okay? Fauci has a really bad track record with doing this and hooking up with the pharmaceutical market and these pharmaceutical companies. He's in ties with them. Now, you might have heard me say on other spaces, I know a holistic doctor. His name is Dr. Scott Whitaker. Okay? Fuck Brother Muko. Excuse my French. Forget Brother Muko. Don't believe anything I say. Check the record. You can call Dr. Scott Whitaker. He has went to the CDC while Fauci was in control down there with the cure for cancer. And security threw him out on his butt talking about we are not interested in a cure. Fauci or none of the staff is interested in a cure. Now, the interesting thing is when COVID popped off in 2020, I was getting real suspicious that this was not COVID. This was indeed acute radiation poisoning that everybody is suffering from. Because mysteriously, when this happened, they were putting up these shot spotters that they call shot spotters that use the 5G network, which hands off and which lets off a lot of radiation. Okay, and these LED lights that they have been putting up in street lights, if they have been in your city, replacing your lights like in Florida, like in Chicago, like in Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Even down in Florida, people have been ripping these things down because of the acute radiation poisoning that it causes. Now, the unique thing about acute radiation poisoning is that the symptoms are just like COVID. They match them exactly. But this is the thing. You can treat COVID or cold about radiation.
You breaking up on us, Brother Moku.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay. If you treat all right, like when you're going through these sicknesses, right? If you treat these symptoms with cold medicines and stuff, the symptoms will go away. But with acute radiation poisoning, the damage continues. The damage continues, even though the symptoms don't show. The damage continues. So then you end up with situations like people having respiratory failures and heart attacks and strokes. Yeah, all this stuff comes from ignoring acute radiation poisoning. Now, how do you treat that? You treat it with zinc, elderberry, and fucking sea moss. You know what I'm saying? When we get hit with a distraction or a scare tactic, I hate to say it, but we as a collective, we don't really do our health research. And when we do our health research and get told something that makes legitimate sense with scientific proof to back, we still don't do what we do better. And I said this in a space yesterday and the day before. It's all about upgrading your speech, your thought, and your action. Like I've been in these spaces telling people eat your G-bombs and stay away from meat. Okay? And the unique thing about meat is, this is how this is how they're, and I got my quotation fingers up, how their COVID, I don't know even what to call it because it's not a virus, but how their virus so-called is spread. So if you know it's spread through the meat, eliminate meat from your diet and just see what it does. Don't take my word for it. Just do it and see if it does what it needs to do for you. This COVID stuff is really, really crazy. They've been planning this at least for about 20 years. They've been planning this pandemic, and I just urge us to be very, very worried of these vaccines. They have been forcing vaccines on our people since the 1950s, probably before that. Okay? And I mean, I beg everybody, do your research on vaccine wars. Just Google it. You'll see all types of fucking articles from their newspapers explaining in detail how they have raided weddings and courtrooms and trapped all black people in the courtroom and made them take vaccines. This was smallpox vaccine. This was part of the vaccine wars. So I just urge everybody, be cautious and suspicious of everything. We are in a system of white supremacy where medical apartheid is a real fucking thing, and it's still happening today. Planned Parenthood is a real thing that was set up by Margaret Sanger, and she created that birth control pill that most of these black women and all non-white, even white women run to. But that birth control pill was made so that y'all black women would reproduce us. Okay? That was Margaret Sanger's work. All right? And it still holds and reigns out supreme today because now they got a Plan B pill. That was Margaret Sanger's work. She wanted that. They banned it the first time. Now it's out on a show. You could buy it. All right? So white people don't love that. They definitely don't like humanity. I don't trust Fauci, and I beg anybody that think just do some research on Fauci, man. He is a snake. He is a snake. So I land there. Thanks for letting me speak to it. Sorry for taking such a long time to crash my plane.
No, you good. Appreciate it, brother Moku. Let me go ahead and get to She Means Business. She Means Business. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are y'all? I was listening, and then I said, "Oh Lord, I got to raise my hand because I was hearing some things." The book that Brother Muko was referencing in regards to Fauci is The Real Anthony Fauci by Robert Kennedy Jr. Everybody should read that book. It details in his entire history, including his involvement with the whole AIDS scandal and how he caused a lot of people to die and be sick. And he did the same thing with Rona because just like with the AIDS epidemic, he was denying medicine that was actually helping people to push the medicine that he had financial ties with that was actually harming people. And that's the same thing that happened with Rona. Trump didn't turn against Fauci because of popularity. Fauci was lying to Trump and setting him up. And a lot of people turned on Fauci because of he was pushing protocols in the hospital that was actually killing people. A lot of people did not die just because of the virus. They died because of the hospital protocol. They were sending people home with no treatment, telling them to come back if they couldn't breathe and stuff like that. And by then, it was too late. Then they were putting people on respirators when they didn't need to be on respirators. There was a lot of foul stuff that went down in the hospital, and a lot of doctors and nurses were getting upset because Fauci doesn't even see patients like they do, and he was not listening to what they were recommending. They're the ones that see the patients all the time. They're the ones that were working in the hospital. They knew what protocols were actually helping people. But no, they wanted people to die. And he was part of that whole push for that. He was lying about, the shot, because it's not a vaccine. The shot, was going to be able to stop people from getting it and spreading it. He lied about the whole thing. They knew from the beginning. They never even tested the shot for the ability to not spread the virus. So they were lying from the get-go. And this information, you guys can go to the Freedom of Information website. It's a government website. Pfizer was required to release their documents, and they had released a ton of documents that showed they knew all these different side effects that people were talking about, that they tried to shut them down from speaking on after they took the shot like they recommended, and people were dealing with all types of health issues and debilitating issues, just like they knew it was causing people to get blood clots and myocarditis, young people. This is all stuff they knew ahead of time. And in those Freedom of Information Act documents, it's all there. It's a ton of documents. They try to request the court to allow them to not have to release this information for like 70 years because they knew that they were lying the whole time, but they were required, the court denied their request, and they were required to release the information anyway. Moderna also, I think, had to release documents as well, and this is going to be an ongoing thing. It's not just a one-time thing. So everyone needs to definitely read up on all this stuff because we have to be prepared for anything else that they, try to spring on us. And another thing with Fauci, he was involved in the gain of functions labs down in North Carolina that got shut down, and that's when it got moved to Wuhan. So his hands are absolutely filthy. He is a crook, and he's been financially benefiting from all of this murder that he's been causing around the world. Another thing I wanted to say is that, I just lost my train of thought for a second. The other thing, because it's a lot. I wanted to remind people, because one thing we have to do too, because we've been hit with so much stuff over this whole pandemic and even now, that we forget the timeline of events, of things that happen. But it's really important for us to remember those things. Just like when Welsing was mentioning the whole doctor that they tried to roll out, the black doctor trying to get us to get on board. If you guys remember, SNL actually did a skit with that dude from Get Out, and they were doing like a whole Family Feud type of skit where they actually mocked black people for being afraid of getting the shot, and they actually made fun of the whole Tuskegee situation and people's skepticism over that. So there was a whole entire attempt to force us to get that shot, and that's because they knew what type of issues it was going to cause, and fertility issues is definitely one of them. That's why they were silencing people on social media. Women had all types of groups on Facebook, just not even to talk bad about the shot at first. They were just trying to understand what was happening to them. Why was their menstrual cycle being messed up? Why were they bleeding excessively and all types of things that were going on? And they were wanting to talk to other people and ask, hey, is this happening to you as well? And turned out it was happening to a lot of women. They were having issues. And they shut down those Facebook groups. They were silencing everybody from talking about the truth and what was happening. They were taking away people's social media accounts and all that type of stuff. And Fauci was head and knee deep involved in all of that type of censoring. So he's not to be trusted. We have to understand that now in the event that they try to roll him out in front of us again. And it's important to read that book because you want to also see the other people that are tied to him and all of these different pharmaceutical companies. They've all been in bed together for a long time. Also, with the whole Bill Gates connection and all that. So I just wanted to, chime in and just, express to you guys that it's really important for us to, be aware of all these different things, because a lot of our people, unfortunately, because they trust the Democrats so much. Because if you remember, when Trump was president, a lot of black people were skeptical, but the minute Joe Biden got in office and started pushing all the get this, get that, and they were running those death numbers every day and, scaring people half to death, and even when they tried to say, hey, if you get the shot, you won't have to wear the mask anymore. And then that was a lie. And they changed it to, well, you still might have to wear the mask. And everybody was like, okay, and a lot of black Democrats were pushing and shaming people for not getting it. We had people talking about, I'm a Pfizer chick and I'm a Moderna chick, and all types of craziness was going on with this heavy push, for this shot. So I just wanted to, express to you guys that, it's really important for us to research all this stuff so we can be prepared. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. You went in depth right that time. So let me go ahead and get to we got Wilson coming back, and we got Brother Moko as well too. So Wilson, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, just real quick, right, twin. Hey, everybody go follow Sister She Mean Biz. The sister right here, real sharp about our Black American music. Follow her, Sister She Mean Biz. I sent you a DM. Check your message. Go ahead, twin.
Everything she said is so on point. Remember when, look, I was back in New Jersey because my sister is a nurse and she was in acute care, 12 to 14 hours a day, 5, sometimes 6 days a week. And I had to take care of her kids. And I was watching, and I remember all in New York, you know who was not buying all that shit too? Was the Orthodox community. They were not having that vaccine. They weren't. They were standing on their square about it. They did not trust it. And I know New York shamed them about, getting them groups and whatever else. They have the, you're talking about a group of people that, in their experiences during Holocaust, they were being used as medical lab rats. And so because of that, a lot of that, what came out of it was Hezbollah. They have their own ambulatory, their own hospital, their own care. So when this whole thing came out and they were trying to force them to take these vaccines, they weren't doing it. And I'm like, I was watching, I was like, you know what? Sometimes they get on my nerves, but sometimes you got to watch it because they have an innate ability to be on point. And that's why I always respected Kyrie Irving. I don't give a damn what nobody want to say about Kyrie. Kyrie stood on his square. Kyrie was like, I'm not doing it. And Kyrie never got sick. The brother was talking about our diet. I was reading, I have been reading a lot about our bodies, black bodies, and just our chemical makeup. And a lot of the food that they eat, it doesn't gel well with us. And I remember my father, when he was alive, he always said, we should all follow the dietary practices of the Nation of Islam. He says, because if you look at them, their eyes are white. Even when they're old, their skin is clear. They are physically fit. And there's something to say about that. The thing that I want to stress to everybody is that you got to be careful because a lot of our vitamins and stuff like that is being made in China too. So, I think a lot of good things came out of this situation.
Basically, for like 2 seconds. Oh, go back like 5, 7 seconds. You fell in the matrix.
Okay. I was saying that my father always felt that we should follow the dietary practices of the Nation of Islam because of the way they look, their skin, their teeth, their eyes. They're strong and healthy. And there's something about it because our chemical makeup as black people is very different than theirs. And I said a lot of good things came out of COVID, and I think one of it is that we have to start growing our own food because I don't trust these people. I don't trust them with the water. I don't trust them with none of them. I have a cousin in Canada who's finding success right now as she is teaching people to filter their water. And it was a business that she created out of just her own personal experiences 10 years ago and has taken off over there. And I do believe it. Even our water, we can't trust. So, Dr. Fauci should not be teaching. Dr. Fauci was one of those ones that was behind that whole AIDS thing, talking about, it's a disease among the gays. No, it wasn't. And then never was that acute to figure out that it was also being transferred in blood plasma when people were having surgeries. It was too damn late. I don't trust his narrative. I don't trust his scholarship. I don't trust him. He's in the bed with people like Bill Gates. He's in the bed with George Soros. All this thing about doing all this vaccination rollout in Africa, and them damn Africans down there, like the lab monkeys that they are, sitting up there, allowing them to jump in with all kinds of shit in their bodies. No, I don't believe. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think to one of the people in this room, I think a lot of that too is to sterilize black people. And I don't trust it. So you know what? Let me tell you something. A lot of lessons have been learned out of this, and it's the exercise. We need to get off this damn cigarettes. We need to curb the drinking. Our diet. If there was one thing that it showed black people during COVID, is that diabetes and high blood pressure is the foundation for a lot of why it wipes us out of the earth. Is because of those two things. The sugar. And you think about it, when you look at our black neighborhoods, what's in there? The damn Chinese greasy ass shit, all the fast food places you know in Japan, nothing, all the sugar, whatever related, anything bad is in our neighborhoods so that we can buy it. We have to stop. We have to really give our bodies a reboot. We cannot get on this sugar. We've got to watch our weight, exercise, and curb the eating, the salt, all that shit. All of that is good to kill us. And we've got to do better as a people. If every black person in the United States was on that Nation of Islam diet, liquor, cigarettes, junk food would be out of our neighborhoods and they'd be out of business. So I land with that.
All right. Thank you.
I promise no more talking.
Thank you, Wilson. Let me go ahead and get to Brother Moku. Brother Moku, go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, everything most of the sisters were saying were dead on, and I want to add to this because I kind of threw out, but a few things came back to me. The thing with Fauci in the AIDS era, AIDS is acute immune deficiency syndrome. It's not a virus. You know what I'm saying? What I said earlier, acute radiation poisoning. What acute radiation poisoning is small doses of radiation over long periods of time. It was a study done in like the late 70s, early 80s, and the study came up inconclusive. Inconclusive don't mean that it wasn't any effects. It just means they didn't complete the study. Okay? So what Fauci thing with the AIDS is that he was pushing it and pushing medication for a virus. And AIDS is not a virus. It's an immune deficiency syndrome, meaning it's something that attacks your immune system. Now, what AIDS really is, and the reason why it was so prominent in the, I guess, homosexual scene was they used to use inhalants, okay? Inhalants is like when they inhale glue and inhale the thing, those fumes that are in spray bottles. When people inhale those things, it makes your anus expand, okay? And that depletes your immune system. Them fumes in the cans that homosexuals was using back in the 70s and 80s. That's why they were getting AIDS. And a lot of it was drug needle sharing, okay? Because in that scene, there was a lot of drugs. So Fauci coming on and introducing and pushing that drug, I think it was TRX or PRT or something like that. It just that drug.
You're in the matrix. You're in the matrix.
I'm in the matrix.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm driving. I'm gonna drive down and come back up.
Hey, let me say this one thing because I'm on the highway real quick. Don't forget, Bill Gates just gave that $30 billion to China or whatever how much money it was. And he over there in China visiting right now, making kissy faces with CCP. CCP.
Right, DJ, can y'all hear?
It sounded like he was breaking up again, but try to talk. Let me see if I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I wanted to just saying that this
yeah, you still breaking up. You breaking up.
I'll come back.
Yeah, you breaking up pretty good.
Man, we had a beat right there, boy. He sounded like African Bambaataa.
Carlos, you got it. Go ahead until he comes back up.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on what the sister, she means business, was saying about the medications and everything. It was an emergency room doctor here in Virginia that he got fired because he was prescribing ivermectin, and the hospital told him not to prescribe that. He like, wait a minute, I took an oath to heal and help people, and you're gonna actually tell me I can't fulfill the oath that I swore to? And they fired him, and he has a lawsuit against Centera Medical Group right now. I think it goes to court next year sometime to try to get his job back. And another thing that a lot of people don't know is Bill Gates' father worked hand in hand with Margaret Sanger in the Planned Parenthood thing. And I'll drop it.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. DJ, you want to go ahead and say something again?
What you call it? Hold on a second.
If not, I can see Brother Moku. He's back up here. I can see if it's
What you call it? Displaying times thing. I believe Obama is related to Mitch McConnell. I'll say that. Go ahead. Somebody try.
I think he's related to, from what somebody was saying before. I heard that he was either related to the Bushes or he was related to Dick Cheney. So I'm not sure exactly which one, but he's supposed to be related to one of them.
He's the 10th cousin removed from in the Bush family. So he's George H.W. Bush's 10th cousin removed.
Go ahead, Brother Moku. You go ahead. Let's see how your connection is.
Yeah, hope I'm out of the matrix, y'all. I'm on the road. All of those presidents are related, by the way. They all are part of the same bloodline. But what I was saying about the AIDS and this particular COVID, even COVID is not a virus, and that was the whole thing, and the whole hole in Fauci's, I guess a plea or whatever. He was trying to say it was a virus that jumped 10 to 12 feet, which is if anybody studies or knows, you can just look up viruses. Viruses don't spread that way. They don't jump. Germs don't have they don't have different energy levels where they just, you can have a germ. I mean, it's either airborne or it's not. So it was a lot of word games played on us, and just like sis and brother just said, with this medical, the medical doctors in Western medicine, period, they're all about artificial, managing pain. They're not about curing anything. So with that being said, vaccines, just really be leery of them. We have a lot of information now where we shouldn't even be affected by this. I'm gonna tell you, I haven't taken the vaccine at all. I haven't taken a vaccine since my mother probably made me, and that's probably since teens. Matter of fact, I was in the military, so that was the last time I probably got vaccinated. I don't. None of my children been vaccinated. None of them ever had chickenpox, poison ivy, none of the above. So I just feel like these things are made to weaken our immune systems. A lot of things that we eat are illegal in other countries, like Kraft cheese. They don't even allow Kraft cheese in Europe and other places like that because they know that shit is poison. We eat this stuff every day, and as long as we keep not paying attention to our diets and learning that our food is our medicine. I mean, go to the Minister of Wellness. DJ shouting him out all the time. I do too, as much as I can. He'll tell you, look, your food is your medicine. Everything, every disease that you could possibly come across, it's vegetables, it's beans, it's greens, it's mushrooms, onions, berries, and seeds out there that can cure it, not manage it. So I'll land with that because I know I'm on the matrix again.
All right. Thank you, Brother Moku. Thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to get something in tonight? Say something because we'll get ready to close the space out. If not, we've been going right at 2 hours. Pretty good space. She means business. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yes, I just wanted to say one more thing to add on to what was said about, the doctor. So even with ivermectin, they villainize ivermectin when that drug has been around for years. They use it a lot in other countries to treat malaria, and a lot of doctors were banned from, subscribing it during Rona because Fauci demonized it, and they had to literally sneak and get it to people, and it was so bad that some pharmacies would not fill prescriptions. So it was a lot of corruption going on to the point where I don't know if you guys even remember when they villainized vitamin C. And there was studies coming out very early on saying that a lot of people that were suffering the most consequences from quote unquote Rona were people that were deficient in vitamin D. So here you have on the news them villainizing vitamin C, villainizing vitamins and all that stuff to the point where, when people go into the hospital and they have alcohol poisoning or something, one of the doctors was talking about how they literally give them what they call a banana bag or something like that that's literally filled with vitamin C and all types of vitamins and stuff like that to help them, and then they pump their stomach. So, they went on an all-out assault to make it seem like the only option was to get the shot. The same shot that they knew did not stop the spread of the virus, did not stop people from getting it. And they knew that it had horrible side effects. And also, there's a girl, I can't think of her name right now, but she actually is involved in a lawsuit because she was working at one of the testing facilities when they were doing the what do you call it? What they do before they released it? The trial. She was working at one of the sites for the trial, and they were not following proper protocol at the trial site. And she was reporting it, and she lost her job because she reported all the shady dealings that were going on with the trial. So another thing that happened is a lot of doctors, and this is what unfortunately was a huge lesson when it came to this whole situation, is you have to be able to study and research for yourself. You have to be able to advocate for yourself, because some of the doctors were going along with the protocol because they're used to just going along with, hey, this is published in the New England Journal of Medicine. This is what these studies are. They're used to just trust. Found out, hey, they were actually censoring the information that was getting posted in the New England Journal of Medicine. There was other doctors with a lot of research and a lot of proof showing, hey, you don't max vaccinate during a pandemic. It's just first. So what ended? You had all these different quote unquote variants coming out. Because that's one of the things that they warned would happen when you do max vaccination during a pandemic. Remember, they were villainizing natural immunity. They were saying that was not going to be helpful, right? And then only to find out later, 2 years later, oh, natural immunity is the best immunity. That's what they came out with eventually. They knew that from the beginning. So a lot of doctors, a lot of people went along with things because they have trust in their doctor, but they don't even realize that, hey, their doctor may be the kind of doctor that's not really also thinking for themselves, that's kind of going along with what the, quote unquote science that's manipulated says, right? Even though they may be seeing different things with their own eyes, experiencing different things, but hey, this is what they said, so I'm going to trust it. The doctors who went against that and utilized their own thinking and started to do research themselves are the ones that were getting punished, losing their jobs. People had to go out of start their own practices. It was a lot of shady stuff that went down in the medical industry with this whole thing. And one thing I want to also just wake up really quickly so that we really can, just be aware. A lot of Black-owned businesses never recovered from being shut down during the pandemic. Never. And they were actually saying that Atlanta is one of the places where Black-owned businesses were still able to thrive and didn't suffer as much loss because they didn't have to shut down. Their governor fought against it, or whoever fought against it, right? The continuous shutdowns that went down in other places that lasted much longer. So I just wanted to, add that, and I wanted to thank you guys for your spaces. They're always awesome. I normally listen on replay, but tonight I just happened to keep listening, and I was like, what are you saying? So thank you, and thank you, DJ. I'll check now.
All right. Thank you. She means business. Brother Mocha, I'm going to let you be the last speaker for the night, then we're going to go ahead and shut it down for the night. Go ahead. You got it.
Okay, thanks, Newstoter. I just wanted to add, if everybody looks on my page, even in social, I posted an article board manager being selling body parts. And you can bet most of them were black body parts. They're selling bodies now. Bodies, they have prices like if you buy a whole body, it's like $5,000 to $10,000. So I think that I'm looking at this situation and how they're bringing up this COVID shit again when just about 2 months ago, Biden, just said it was over, and it just how it's just a whole scam all the way around. I haven't been sick since 2020 before then. And I'm going to just say, really, we really need to just really start paying attention to our surroundings. It's a lot of missing people missing cases that have gone unsolved. And the more and more I'm hearing articles about individuals, mainly white individuals, getting caught with black dead bodies. We really need to start paying attention to what's going on around us and being suspicious of everything instead of going to give white people a pass. You know what I'm saying? So I'll land there.
All right. Thank you, Brother Moku. And thank you, everybody, for coming to the space tonight. We definitely appreciate all the speakers. Brother Moku, Wilson, She Means Business. A number, we have Volvo, Ray. Number you guys came up and spoke tonight. A Boogie as well, too. So as always, guys, we will be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me go ahead and kick it. Professor, you want to say something real quick before we get ready to close it out? Professor might not be
singing.
Yeah, Professor.
No singing allowed.
Professor might not be there, so I guess I'll go ahead on that note. Like I say, tomorrow night, y'all, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be back. So definitely, when you get the notifications, everybody, go ahead and retweet those notifications out as well, too. DJ, you want to say something real quick?
I was just gonna say, hey, Carlos, I was trying to bring you up the whole time. I don't know, your phone janky, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's been trying to come up for like the last 5 to 10 minutes. I've been hitting this button like crazy, so I just want to say that, man.
Okay.
Hey, family. Hey, I heard you told her, man. Family, great space tonight. It was great hearing everybody speak on this issue. And let's stay on top of this issue, too, because I do believe these vaccines caused the death of some of my loved ones. I do believe that these vaccines caused the death of a lot of people's loved ones. So this is something that we definitely need to continue to follow.
Yeah, I'll second on that, and peace and love. Peace.
All right. Like I say, everybody, join us tomorrow night, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely go ahead. And like I say, for those that want to subscribe as a membership, it's $3 a month. So definitely go to the profile. Definitely trying to go ahead and get some subscriptions. Definitely need some people to go ahead and support the content so we can go ahead and get more of the message out there as well, too, to a larger base of our people as well, too. So for those that can subscribe, go ahead, and it's definitely greatly appreciated. DJ, you got to mute your mic.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was going to say, for those that can, definitely appreciate you guys. We will see you tomorrow night, and everybody be safe. Have a good night.
Part two, everybody. DJ space.
We got